74% of mothers are discriminated during pregnancy. Also fathers are discriminated, but it's more mothers. And so there must be an improvement of the legal framework because, as I explained in my case, from the first day after parental leave, there was no more special protection.
Welcome to Get Inspired, your podcast to feel connected, empowered and inspired by real-world role models and their stories of managing parenthood with successful careers. Today we talk to Sandra Runge, a legal expert on coming back to work after parental leave, whose book, Congratulations on the Baby, You're Fired, was a big success last year. I'll hand over now to the host of this podcast, Ricarda Engelmeyer, to introduce Sandra properly, find out what she's been doing since that time she got fired for having a baby, and what her experience and advice means for the rest of us.
And with this, Sandra, I would like to welcome you to MyCollective. I'm very glad you're here. You are not only a lawyer for labor law and with a specific focus on exactly the topic that we are looking at, which is parents specifically returning post-parental leave. And you're working there in terms of legal advice and very much sort of in the field of employment law, of course. But you're also an entrepreneur. You set up 2 kindergartens called Co-working Toddler. I want to know more about those as well. You're politically active. You set up an initiative called Pro Parents and are fighting for better framework conditions for parents on a legal base. And last but not least, you're an author of a book that just came out called Glückwunsch zum Baby, Sie sind gefeuert. And it's basically sharing different stories about how the return can look like, but not all of the stories have such a bad ending as the title suggests. It also gives a lot of hope. So, Sandra, welcome to MyCollective.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Yes, and I'm very happy to be here and to let you know a little bit about my work and maybe to answer your questions.
Exactly. And I mean, your work, before we start talking about all the legal aspects of returning to work, I would actually like to talk to you about a bit of a broader topic, the topic of courage. Because I actually feel that it takes a lot of courage to, first of all, to get a baby and to set up a family, but then also to go back to work and then to handle job and kids at the same time. And then obviously also to get back to work and getting the right job, the one that you want to set for. Now, your title suggests that this returning to work hasn't worked out so well. And because I think it's from your own experience, can you share a little bit of your own experience of returning back to work?
Yes, yeah. So I have 2 sons. I live in Berlin and my sons are a little bit older. So for me, it was 10 years ago that I made not that good experiences. My son is now 12, the other one is 9. And I worked as a lawyer in a company, an international company, and I was on parental leave and everything was fine. And I wanted to start full time after parental leave. And I got some trainings during the parental leave. I organized, we had it here, the Kita adaptation, what is always also a big issue. My mother was coming to support me and to manage this Kita adaptation period. And then I went to work. The first day I was super excited and super happy. And also a little bit proud because I'm a mom coming back to work full time, so everything will work and I can continue my career, of course. I was head of a legal department. Yeah, and then I come back and I had a little office with a big table. There was a computer, a phone on it, and it was empty. There was nothing. And I was a little bit, concerned, what is that? And so then I waited for 1 hour. Nobody wanted to talk to me. I saw my boss. I had 2 bosses. And then they came to me 1 hour later and then they gave me a notice letter and said to me, okay, sorry, we have no more capacities to continue your employment agreement because there will be an outsourcing and whatever. Yeah, so then I came back after 2 or 3 hours with all my little things that left in my little office and was released from work. And yeah, as you can imagine, it was quite a shock to lose my job the first day after parental leave. And yeah, but looking back, it was a big bang if you want, for changing the work I do. And this was the start of a very big new chapter in my life.
Yeah, I lived for a very long time in India, and a lot of things never really work out in India. And then they always say it's a blessing in disguise. I think in your case, this very much sounds like a blessing in disguise, where you sort of come back after 2 hours of not having a job anymore, to actually something that then turns out into your career that I've just before sort of lined out. So this was the beginning of you actually focusing on this specific topic, right? As a lawyer and also as an independent legal advisor. Can you share what kind of stories you come across? I mean, what are the sort of main topics that you encounter in your work?
Yeah, so just maybe to let you know, these are a lot of stories that really are bad, and it's not every time the case. Yeah, so I don't want that everybody will be here afraid. Yeah, there are also a lot of good examples, and in our book we also describe good examples and really lovely employers. But as you can imagine, the worst case things are coming to me as a lawyer, because then there are kind of problems. And the problems can start with letting know that a mother is pregnant. So because this is very often a situation that the mother has kind of a stigma in some cases, and then there are maybe some disadvantages. So, for example, an employer says, oh, no, there is no more need to participate on this training because you are pregnant, you will leave and it makes no sense, or we won't give you more salary because you're pregnant. These are things that happened, or we don't accept you for this job because you let us know that you are pregnant. So these are some cases. And then sometimes during parental leave, there are a lot of mothers that come to me and they tell me that, oh, there is some restructuring in the company, or my boss left and I don't know what will happen. So this is very often a strategic consultation. So how do I communicate? What should I be aware of? How should I be prepared coming back to work? And sometimes it's also like, okay, sorry, they sent to me a termination agreement. What can I do? Or they let me know that my job will no more exist when I come back after parental leave. And then these are sometimes the cases that I experience, like losing the job after parental leave, getting a termination letter. Yeah, and another big part is that application for part-time is refused. Yeah, so I think there was one of the participants who's coming back during parental leave for 20 hours. This is really cool if employers, are happy with that and accept it. But there are a lot of employers that don't accept part-time and that don't trust that part-time can work. They don't accept job sharing or something. And so then there is very often a big problem, or that mothers want to prolong their parental leave because they don't have a kita spot. Yeah, so there is no childcare because, I don't know, that there are no teachers. So this is just, there are a lot of other cases, but this is some examples for my work. Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, once the termination letter is there, then it's already quite a sort of straightforward case. Yeah. But I guess there's a gray zone that can already start before. And you mentioned that it's sometimes quite difficult to negotiate to come back in part-time, or to potentially negotiate any other kind of, let's say, innovative, fluid working models that are around. And I think that's the interesting part, because that's where you can still be active, right? And where you can sort of, as a parent, start sort of shaping the situation and prevent actually ending up at a termination letter. What would you suggest in terms of this sort of prevention or preventive actions? What would be your recommendations?
As you mentioned, this is also my favorite work, because I really love to give tips how it's better to start after parental leave, or how to communicate. And I think communication is one of the most important part of a strategy coming back to work, of course. As you know, you need two parties of communication, because it's not only you and also the side of the employer. So what I always suggest is really to look for conversation, to ask for meetings, to come by when the baby is born, to participate on activities of the company, because normally you should be invited for activities like whatever, if it's training day or if it is a summer party or Christmas party or whatever, and really to participate, to keep in contact with the colleagues. And from time to time, it depends on the amount of month you are on parental leave, to talk to your employer and let them know, give them some updates, ask for updates, and also ask for an onboarding after parental leave. So I think it's really super important to have an onboarding and also to ask for an onboarding. So the company must let you know what will happen when you're coming back, who will be the responsible team or the responsible boss that will let you know what your responsibilities are, and maybe to give you mentoring or something to start better after parental leave. And so this is something you can always ask for. And I know you're in this baby bubble and it's not always easy to go there. And as I know from myself, I said, oh no, I want to be with my baby. But I think it's really good to be active and to show your face, of course.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you say this, because we've actually at MyCollective set up a whole system that we call it a micro nudging system, because basically we've realized that most people actually know that they should stay in contact and want to stay in contact, and then it doesn't happen, because from a company's perspective it's just not priority number one, and from a personal perspective the chaos at home sometimes takes over, and then you out of a sudden forget to do a call. But what's really interesting is we have a couple of participants with us who are working for companies where you don't have your email address, you don't keep your phone, you don't keep your laptop, you don't have any of those, and then some others where it actually is possible. I guess in our world, we all know that everybody can always communicate. There are various forms of having contacts, and it's also possible to have an informal contact. And I think in what you were saying is, if there's restructuring, it's also good to just have a continuous informal contact with some different people in the company and get a feeling for the restructuring, how the atmosphere in the company actually works out. And that already helps. And it doesn't necessarily need to be your direct manager. It can be a former mentor or colleague. Okay, so you need to be active. We both agree. We both also know from own experience that it's difficult when you have a small baby at home and you're tired. So what is it on the company side? What would you recommend from the company's perspective? What could they or should they do in an ideal world to actually make this either the communication possible or maybe other elements to have a good return?
Maybe two other points that are super important for this coming back after parental leave is also to have a legal fee insurance. I think we have one participant who's working for an insurance. So this is always something what is super important in case that there will something happen, then all the fees or mostly are covered in case. So this is also very important. And to record conversations. When you have meetings and there is somebody, your manager is saying, oh, part-time is no problem, then fix it in a written form. Yeah, this is my experience that very often some facts are not provable in a written form. And so these are maybe two other important points. From side of the companies. So when we wrote the book, we interviewed a lot of family-friendly companies. And it's interesting because from my impression, it was not that they should spend a lot of money for family-friendly measures. It is more the mindset, to have a really good mindset that is family-friendly. This means that there are role models. So like managers in a higher position that work part-time, fathers that work part-time, and a family-friendliness that is not like only a big sign on the website, but it is that what is really the real life that is lived in a company. And this means that it is honest what they are doing. So, and a special spirit and culture of discussion and meeting. So this means how are meeting prepared? Is there somebody who helps you maybe or is it a person? Do you have somebody you trust in? Yeah. Do you have maybe a mentor or something? Is it possible that you can communicate very open and regularly and there is not a blocking of communication? Very often when mothers come back after parental leave, it is blocked and the managers don't want to talk or say, oh, I don't have time. And this is this kind of, I call it parental leave or parent ghosting. I think it's very important that parents are really part of a company. And this means for me that they are still on the website, that they keep their email address, that they are invited for trainings. Yeah, it is an invitation. Of course, you can refuse when you don't have time with your baby. But so my experience is very often, okay, there is parental leave, and then, the employer is somehow away. And I think this is a big issue and very important. Yeah. And then, of course, a special onboarding system for after parental leave is very important. So to continue the career steps after you coming back to parental leave. And, of course, a super important point is that there is support for childcare from companies. So this is so one of the most important things, so from my perspective.
I think it's really, it's quite a long list, and I'm not sure if all of the companies are actually going for all of those. But I guess from what I hear you say is everyone can be proactive about this. And I guess a lot of companies feel the pain point of trying to go for more diversity, and actually parts of the company are already quite sort of looking forward and actually know that they want more diversity and that they want to work more with parents. But then again, you might encounter the one or two people in the company who haven't sort of gotten the memo yet. So I guess you can be proactive about this and maybe also bring this to your company as a suggestion for to integrate. From what I hear you say, sort of what individuals can do is you can suggest it, you can bring it as a change maker for diversity to your own company. Now, what about you? You're also politically active, right? So you're looking at the bigger picture as well. How does that look like in Germany? I lived abroad for 15 years. When I came back to Germany, it looked like Germany is in quite a good spot in terms of allowing a lot of parental leave, protecting mothers as well as fathers when they come back. Is that not the case? Or where do we stand in Germany, and what could be better? What is it that you are fighting for with pro-parent?
Yeah, so I think if you compare Germany to some other countries, of course, we have quite a good system in some points. So this means like the Elterngeld we have, this is something what not all the countries have. Of course, there are some points that I think that should be improved. Also parental leave and the protection for mothers when they are pregnant that we have in the Maternal Protection Act. This is, also very, very good when you compare it to other countries. But of course, you can improve a lot of things. And during the corona crisis or the lockdowns, I think most of you can remember in what situation we parents have been.
Vividly, I can vividly remember it.
Yeah. So when somebody's telling about corona and lockdown and closed kitas and schools, so I start really to shiver because it's really so close still. I was at home with 2 boys in school, and you can imagine it was really horrible. School closed and I have to be a teacher, and it did absolutely not work. And having the work, of course, too. So, and then I decided with Karline Wenzel together to found the initiative Pro Parents. And Pro Parents means it is related to a special law that we want to have in Germany, because we have an anti-discrimination law in Germany, and you have certain different points of discrimination characteristics, but parents are not part of these characteristics. And also care work, to protect care work. Because if you do care work for children or maybe for, one day their own parents, is a point that is a super big responsibility you have in your life. And it makes the salary work much more difficult. And it is also reason for discriminations. And in Germany, we don't have a law that says every disadvantage for parents is not allowed. So, and there are statistics that parents, especially mothers, are discriminated a lot. And it took, so it was this year that there are the first time official numbers about that. And just as an example, 74% of the mothers are discriminated during pregnancy. So also fathers are discriminated, but it's more mothers. And so there must be an improvement of the legal framework. And this means not only the Discrimination Act but also the protection for mothers and fathers, of course, that come back after parental leave. Because as I explained in my case, from the first day after parental leave, there was no more special protection. There was only a general protection, legal protection, but not the special parent protection during parental leave. And this is something what must be prolonged maybe for +3 or +6 months. So these are some 2 examples of a better
you can
framework.
legally receive your termination letter on the first day when you come back.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's something that is a bit of a myth, that people still believe that when they come back, they cannot, their contract cannot be terminated. But as you said, it's only during parental time. Yeah. I think that's really interesting. I mean, it's sort of, on the one side, it's actually changing the law, which it seems to be very necessary because this is actually the time when you need to be protected. But it's also raising awareness surrounding that topic. Sandra, thank you so much for raising all of these points and sharing a bit of an insight into your books. Can I ask you one last question? We focus on parenting skills and see on how we can convert them into leadership skills. This is the main part of all our trainings. And can I ask you a personal question? Which parenting skill were you able to sort of convert into a leadership skill yourself?
Not that easy. So I think it's more a new focus that I have on my work. And I'm not meaning focus as being very concentrate on working this and this and this and having a good time management. It's more a focus that is related to the question, so what can I change with my work? What is the meaningfulness of my work? And what can I do better for the next generation, maybe also for the generation of my kids? Yeah. And this is very strong related to my own story. And so I'm today very happy that I can help with my expertise as a lawyer, parents, and also companies to find better solutions. And I prefer this work much more than the work I did before. What does not mean that everybody should change the work after parental leave. I think everybody can look in his responsibility. What can I change? And as you said, I really like this example you said. So how can I shape the company maybe to make it family friendly? Because I think a lot of you have a big responsibility. Maybe they have their own teams. And how can I bring this to my job?
Yeah, and that's actually really interesting. It's not only about changing it for your own sake and your own career, which obviously is the first step. But then once you have it, you can be the role model that you said is so important to actually change the culture. And you can actually show that if you are doing it and if you are living it, your team members will be for them it will be easier. And potentially you can even spread it into the company. I think this is a very good way to end our interview. Thank you so much for being with us. And I hope you stay for a question and answer session with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.